This is the last of 8 brief talks on the Cultural Formulation Interview for Adler Graduate School, course number 504, Abnormal Psychology. I will be focusing on module number 8 of the supplementary modules, the client-clinician relationship. There are 2 different ways you can approach this last personal reflection. Think of the previous 7 personal reflections you have completed for this course as the interview that you are reflecting on for your work on this current reflection. The history of previous treatments is a good place to start an inquiry into this topic. Relationships with care providers and other people that have been helpful and that have been difficult and unhelpful can suggest positive or negative attributes. I ask what the client thinks will be useful to them and what type of relationship is likely to be most beneficial. I end a diagnostic interview with a summary of my impressions, a reiteration of the homework for the client, and then asking the client if my thinking makes sense to them and their impressions of our interactions. I encourage you to make a habit of reflecting on the 7 questions suggested for the clinician after the interview. The CFI supplementary modules identify 5 questions for the patient. Your assignment for this way of completing the assignment is to answer these 5 questions for the patient as if you were being asked these questions after the interview that is reported in the previous 7 personal reflections. For this way of completing the assignment, you are taking the clinician perspective. Essentially, you're pretending to be your own therapist. Answer the 7 questions for the clinician as if your client had reported the answers that have been reported in the previous 7 personal reflections. The assessment criteria are the same as we have been using on the other reflections. I hope you will get into the habit of asking the 5 questions at the end of your initial interviews with each of your future clients, and taking some time to reflect on the 7 questions for clinicians after you have completed these interviews.